In this video, I'll show you how to make a bead consisting of pinch beads and seed beads. This bead earns its name because if you look at it from this side with the hole facing towards you, you'll notice that it has a triangular shape to it, almost as if somebody came along and pinched each side of the bead, thus creating a pinch bead. For this project, I'll be using PB113, which is our pinch bead, and this is a 3 by 5 millimeter shape pinch bead in a garnet AB color. My seed beads that I'll be using are Miyuki seed beads in an 11/0 size, item number DB0426. The reason that I'm going to be using green seed beads and red pinch beads is to better illustrate the pattern. You will also be using a length of fireline cord. I typically like to work with a little bit of a long cord, so I'm going to cut myself at least an 18-inch length of cording, knowing full well that I probably won't be using half of it, but I do like to have a longer tail in this project, and I'll show you why that is. The item number for this fireline cord is BC160. You will also need a beading needle, and this is item number BN408, or a size 10 beading needle. You're more than welcome to use a longer beading needle, but since I am creating such a small bead, I personally like to work with a shorter needle in this instance. And as always, to finish off your bead weaving, you'll need some side cutter, scissors, or a thread burner. The very first step in creating my pinch bead bead is to thread my needle onto my length of fireline cord. After this, your first part of your pattern is as follows. You'll take one pinch bead, one seed bead, followed by another pinch bead, and then you'll repeat this same pattern again. A pinch bead, a seed bead, and another pinch bead, like so. Slide this all the way down your thread. Now I like to leave a long tail at the end of my cording so that it gives my non-dominant hand something to really hold on to as I'm assembling the rest of my bead. I'm going to take the first group of beads in between my thumb and my index finger, and I'm going to take my needle and go back up through these 3 beads again. This will cause both sets of beads to saddle up next to one another. To secure this, I'm going to go back down through that second group of beads with my needle and pull my cord through. Because the cording that we're using here is so thin, I like to go through this twice. I like to make sure that my beading is fairly secure. So here we have both sets of beads, and your thread should be coming down out of the second bunch of beads. And now you'll follow the pattern again of picking up a pinch bead, a seed bead, and another pinch bead. Take your needle and you're going to go back down through that second grouping of beads again and pull so that the third group of pinch beads line up here next to the second group. Take your needle and go back up through that third group of beads and then back down through the second group of beads again. Come back up through the third and then with your needle pick up another pinch bead, seed bead, and pinch bead. Now you're going to take your needle and thread and you're going to go up through the third group of pinch beads, and you'll notice every time I thread on another group, I'm positioning that group so that all of my pinch beads are forming a fairly loose circle. So now I'm going to go back down through that fourth set of pinch beads that I just threaded on, and then I'm going to come back up through that third set. Come back down through the fourth. Now this time, to complete the circle, you're going to take your needle and thread and you're going to go up through the very first group of pinch beads that were threaded on. Go back down through the fourth, and then this time, when you come back up through the first set of beads, take your needle and come out of the seed bead that's in this first group. So you're not going to go completely all the way up through that first group of pinch beads. Your cording is now going to come out of this seed bead in the first group of pinch beads. Now, instead of going vertical, we're going to take our cording and we're going to run horizontal around the bead. To do this, pick up a pinch bead and then take your needle, and you can either work to the right or to the left, but because my cording is heading off here to the right, I'm going to follow it around to the right. You're going to take your needle and go up through the next seed bead off to the right. Pick up another pinch bead, take your needle and go through the next seed bead off to the right. Reposition your bead, pick up another pinch bead, and come up through the next seed bead with your needle. And now we're back here between the fourth vertical group of pinch beads and the first vertical group of pinch beads. Pick up your last pinch bead and come up through this seed bead in the first group and pull tight. Now you're going to notice that you have a rough shape of what your pinch bead will look like, but it seems like it's fairly loose. So in order to tighten everything up, what we're going to do is we're going to take our cording and we're going to go back through all of our horizontal pinch beads one more time. If you look at your cording, you'll notice that you're coming out of a seed bead in one direction. In this case, my cording is coming up out of the seed bead. So I'm going to take my cord through the next pinch bead in line off here to the right. You're going to see that your cording will enter in the next seed bead either over here at the bottom or up through the top. For me, I went through each of my seed beads from the bottom to the top. So on this go through, I'm going to go through each of my seed beads from the top to the bottom. Why do we do this? This allows all of our seed beads and pinch beads that are horizontally placed to really tighten up and secure this bead so that it has a nice round shape to it. Go through the next pinch bead off to the right and go down through the next seed bead, following that, and continue on until you have taken your cording around the circumference of the bead. So after you have come out of that last seed bead, take 1 minute to take a look at your bead and make sure that it's as tight as you want it to be. If you notice that some part of your bead seems to be a bit more relaxed than other parts of your bead, you can easily weave your needle through the bead and up and down your pinch bead so that it tightens it up a tiny bit more. Weave your needle all the way through your bead until you come back out of that seed bead that you finished with, if you need to go back and tighten up your pinch bead anywhere along the line. Now take your needle and you're going to go through the next pinch bead. You've already gone through this twice, but we're going to go through it one more time. Now at this point, to make everything nice and clean, we're going to go up through the next seed bead, and we're going to go up through the next pinch bead. Pull your cording all the way through, make sure it's nice and tight, and now our bead is done. To finish off our bead, what we're going to do is you take your needle and you go underneath a set of cording, either off to the right or to the left of the pinch bead that you're coming out of. What I like to do is take my needle, pull my cording just so I have a small loop, and do a quick surgeon's knot to finish off my cording. Now I'm going to take my needle off of my cording, I'm going to take my side cutters, and I'm going to cut that cording fairly close to the knot. Remove that cording tail, and then thread your needle onto the other cording on the other side of the bead. And you're going to do the same thing that you did on the opposite end of the bead with this side of the bead. So this time, just for kicks, I'm going to come up through the cording that connects this pinch bead to this pinch bead off to the right. Pull my cording, and you're going to notice that your loop over here is far smaller than the one that you worked with on the other side. No matter, you can still get that knot in there, not a problem. So there is my pinch bead all done, and here's some other pinch beads that I've done. We sell all sorts of different colored pinch beads, and they look really cool used as drops for earrings or as small beads for bracelets. It's very easy to find the hole on these beads. Simply look for where 4 of the pinch beads meet together and there's no seed bead. That's your top and that's your bottom. Thread it on as you would any other bead and you're set. So as you can see, in just a few minutes, you yourself can make one of these really cute little pinch bead beads.